the sense. So it takes a pressure off. Like I'm not pressured by my wife to have to perform or anything like that, because she knows and understands what I'm going through. So that pressure is kind of gone. But it's just that not being able to, when you are horny and you want to do something and there's not much you can do about it.
Right.
That's where it becomes difficult. As a guy, we just masturbate, we just jerk off and it's done. And, if you're having a stressful day or something's getting down, you pop in, you're ripping out and you're done. Not being able to do that and spending the last, my entire adult life that I've been having a hard on and just being able to whack off, no big deal. So not being able to makes it really difficult.
That never comes back? Is that the deal?
It can never come back fully. You'll never get a full on hard on. You can get almost like a semi.
Right.
Is about sort of like the most you can sort of hope for.
So it's just like drinking a lot of rye every day.
Yeah, literally. It's just like having permanent whiskey dick. So yeah.
Well,
I gotta say,
you're alive. That's the thing.
Yeah,
that I like.
Yeah, and that thing, like, I mean, it does change your perspective on things, and it gives you a better understanding of, what's most important, and it gives you a little more focus on life and what you can and can't do and what you're willing to do. I've had a pretty decent outlook throughout this process. I'm not fighting any step of the way. Like, I'm not being resistant to anything, except for those first 2 weeks I had the catheter. I was resistant to everything that time. I fucking hated it.
Just want to let everybody know we got a message here for Gord. Just says, and it doesn't even say who it's from. It just says, just wanted to send a little love to Gord. It doesn't say who it's from, but thank you.
That's amazing.
Listener. I like that someone's listening, and I like that you're sending Gord your love. So thank you very much for that. And I like that Riverside works, because I pay a lot of money for these. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's from
Nicole.
Very nice. Oh, you can read them. Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
Again, that's
well,
amazing.
Thanks, Nicole.
Have the doctor said this is a permanent thing? It will come back in time. So yeah. So like I was just saying, it's a catch-22. Like I said, the ability to have a full hard on for the most part is gone. There is a chance that eventually could regrow itself, that you can get a little bit more hard than the average person. It can take up to 3 years for that to happen. There are alternatives. I was reading about this guy in the States that was going through this, and for 18 months, he was doing basically it's a dick injection, where you actually stick a needle in your dick, and that gives you your hard on. He said the downside with this, he goes, no, the needle is super, super fine. He goes, so it doesn't really hurt. It's not that big of a deal doing the needle. He goes, I was fine with that. The problem he had was, it gets rid of spontaneity, because you got to stop, clean the area, clean this, clean that, and go through this whole process, and then wait for everything to sort of kick in. He goes, so spontaneity is thrown out the window. He says, but the problem was that, it'd be great. You'd have your hard on, you'd fuck for, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. But the hard on lasts for 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah, and I have that problem too.
Yeah, and that becomes painful. So that was an issue. And then, here's what gets crazy. What he ended up doing after that was he ended up getting this, it's surgical procedure where basically they put like a valve down by your hip, and they inject this, they put this little sack with saline solution in it. And that sack sort of sits in by where your prostate would sort of be. And then they attach it to your dick. So what happens then is, if you want to get a hard on, you just sort of push this little pump thing on the side, that releases the fluid in your dick. That makes it hard. You do anything you want to do. When you're done, you just deflate it, and it goes away.
It's like an Air Jordan.
So it's like you have like an Air Jordan penis.
Paid a little blue swoop on the side. You could probably get endorsement money for that.
A little swipe on the side, you're good to go. So I mean, I know there's alternatives. There's also this like implant thing you can put in under your dick that actually it's basically like a shelf that your dick sort of sits on, and that what makes it a little more rigid.
Have you considered talking about getting in touch with Jimmy Dickarm in England and see if he's got any advice for you?
I would be willing to fuck with an arm if I could. So I'm just serious here. Nicole asked another question. That must be hard on your marriage in not just a physical way, but the emotional closeness. Yes.
Stop saying hard on insensitive listeners.
It's kind of throwing that in my face. Eh? But yeah, no, I mean, not being able to be physically intimate is really, it's difficult. It can be really tough because, you know, you want that intimacy. You want to be able to have that intimacy, but when you kind of can't, I mean, like you got to think outside the box, if you will. And I know my focus on this, is I mean, like my focus when it comes to sex and all that stuff is always focused on her pleasure over mine. I'm a guy, I can get off with a cool breeze, you know. So it's not like it's all that difficult for me as a guy to get off, but so it just puts more of the focus on strictly on her pleasure, but still not being able to be intimate. And even for her, you know, where, cause like a lot of women enjoy when the guy comes, for her to not have that final moment, is me difficult for her as well. It's tough. There's no getting around it, Nicole. It's difficult, you know, trying to figure out how to be intimate or show intimacy, but without the expectation of sex. It's tough. Still working through it. I'll you know, keep you guys up on it when I figure this shit out. Because it's really weird. Because right now, all I do is pee. That's all its function is at the moment. So it's, you know, I don't really do a whole lot with it anymore.
At my age, I'm not far off from that anyway. So
it's fucked up. There's no getting around it.
Well, you still got a good sense of humor about it, and that's really, I think, paramount. If you can laugh a little and keep your spirits up, that'll go a long way.
Yeah, attitude is legit. It is everything throughout this process. You have to be. You just got to look at the positives. You know, life being the biggest thing. I'm alive. I'm still here. I still get to fuck with people, which is nice. I really enjoy that aspect. So it hasn't fucked with my personality. I appreciate that. But it does give. Yeah, there's a lot of adjusting and accepting of the situation, and the faster you can accept the situation, the faster you can come up with alternatives to change your outlook and the outlook of others. Yeah, I guess that sounds very sounded positive.
It did. I like that. I wish I could.
I feel like a Jay Shetty fucking quote.
I wish I could contribute more comedically to it, but I can't right now. It's just you know, it's a lot to take in for all of us. So
yeah, it's wild. You know, it's been a shock. You know, what's really weird now. So the surgery itself, like, because I was done by a robotic surgery, so it's the least invasive of the surgeries. So instead of they just splaying my entire stomach and everything else and just ripping me wide open and creating massive, huge scars everywhere. I have one large scar across the top of my stomach, and then a couple small incision scars on the sides where the robot sort of comes in on either side, and it just sort of holds things and pokes and prods, and they send a camera down in so they could see what they were doing and shit. And so I'm really lucky in the sense that my painful healing time is dramatically cut. Like, I mean, getting up and down still hurts. Oh, and for the record, the bulk of the pain and discomfort is in the balls.
Of course.
So, and here's how I can best describe it. I mean, women, you'll never understand this because you don't know what it feels like, but Eric will fully get what I'm saying with this. So, you know, when you've been kicked in the balls really hard, you get hit, you drop to the ground, you're in pain, and all that shit hurts. Once you're over that initial pain and you're able to sort of move again, you got that ache.
Yeah,
that sort of,
I know that,
you know what I mean? That reverberating ache feeling. That's almost 24/7 for me.
Wow. That
so
sucks.
No,
huge.
that part has been dramatically, it's lowering constantly, but every time I stand up and sit down in any capacity, especially standing up is much the worst than sitting. That's every time I stand up and sit down, that's what it feels like. It just feels like I got kicked in the balls, but it's the reverberating effect after.
Wow.
So it's the ache. So
That's
lots
really
of grunting
sucks.
and groaning when I stand up and sit down. It's always, everything is just, oh.
That's a terrible pain too. That's a rough one to have to deal with.
Yeah, because it's not just the balls; it's like lower stomach too.
yeah. I got kicked really badly when I was quite young. I think I was about the 7th grade or something, and just a brutal kick, and it did a lot of damage, and I was hospitalized and whatever. But I know the feeling. I'm sure it's different in your 40s than it was when you're 10 or whatever. But
Nicole just asked, "Do painkillers help?" Yes and no. Like the initial painkillers I was on, I mean, really, they didn't give me much. It's just basically Advil and Tylenol for the most part is all they gave me, and it's really all you need because the pain is minimal. The first 2 weeks I was taking them, for the most part, they're saying, oh, you know, you're only going to need painkillers for the first 3 or 4 days. I needed it for the first 2 weeks because having the catheter was painful. So I would take some painkillers and some Advil and Tylenol, whatever I could sort of stuff in me to help eliminate or control that pain of having a tube rammed up inside me.
Yeah, I can imagine, even if it's not painful, it's got to be like, if there's moments when it's not painful, it's still got to be uncomfortable. Just having something there.
It is, absolutely. Like, here's the way. So I'm laying down on the couch. So if I'm laying down and I'm not moving a muscle, don't even notice it's there. It's perfectly fine. But if I twitched one of my legs, just a twitch, it's like, there's that
for
pain.
For someone with restless leg syndrome, that's got to be fantastic.
It's terrible because I got arthritis in both my ankles too, so I'm constantly, and my legs are always in motion. So, it sucked. There wasn't a whole lot. The painkillers didn't really do a whole lot to get rid of the ache. It got rid of the more searing pain in the sense, but not much really helps with the uncomfortableness. For the most part, I don't take anything right now. I haven't been on any painkillers or anything. I think maybe once a week I'll take a couple of Advil.
I don't think people understand when you experience real pain. I know when I broke my back and I was in the wheelchair and I was in the worst pain I've ever been in my life because your back muscles tense up to protect your spine from further damage, and it just hurts. And painkillers, like you just said, they dull it a little bit, but if you have actual real pain, painkillers don't take it away.
No, the only way they do is if you take enough of them and they knock you out. Then you're just sort of sleeping through it. You know I mean? So the pain killers, like I said, they get rid of the hardest part of it, but it doesn't get rid of all the pain. And it's the hard parts of the pain I can sort of handle. It's that constant ache. Like every time, like I said, every time I stand up and sit down, it's just, it's not painful. Like I can't do it. It's just, ow, every time I stand up or sit
Yeah.
down.
That's got to be really frustrating.
Yeah, but